Hello, the topic of today's lesson is to solve proportional relationships. We call it simply proportions. We are in our textbook, page, let's take a look, 113. Let's start with a simple word problem. We do have a carton of milk, okay? And take a look. Every time on the back of any food product you buy, any serving, you will have nutritional information, and it will always give you the list of different elements that you would be consuming based on the size of the serving. So for example, this is soy milk, regular milk maybe, and the serving suggestion is 8 fluid ounces, which means just a cup, right? Now take a look. We have 100 calories in a cup, 7 grams of protein, 3.5 grams of fat, fiber is 2.4 grams, and so on. So let's take a look at the problems that are associated with rates, which we just covered, moving into proportions. Find the amount of dietary, I'm reading right here. Find the amount of dietary fiber in 40 ounces of soy milk. So take a look. What is given? I'm going to scroll up a little bit. What is given? Given by the word problem. We have 8 ounces of milk, right? That's the serving size that contains 2.4 grams of dietary fiber. Here it is. Here is the information about the dietary fiber. Now, what about 40 ounces of milk? So what is happening? Take a look. 8 ounces contains 2.4 grams. Now this is milk, and this is DF for dietary fiber. This is a ratio. We're familiar with ratios from the previous 2 lessons. So 8 ounces gives us 2.4 grams of dietary fiber. Now, what about 40 ounces? Well, we see that the relationship between the new question is we're asking for 5 cups of milk, right? 5 times more. So 8 ounces is what is given. They're asking for 40 ounces. We have to multiply the amount of fiber 5 times. There will be obviously 5 times more fiber if you increase the quantity 5 times. And therefore, we can compute that 2.4 times 5, I hope you can do some mental math. 24 times 5 gives you 120. 2.4 times 5 gives you 12 grams. So 12 grams of dietary fiber will be in 40 ounces of milk. Notice, if we double the quantity on the left, we must double the dietary fiber on the right. If we triple, right, times 3, we must triple the amount of fiber. My friends, here we have something that we call a proportion. A proportion is 2 ratios tied together. It's called the amount of fiber, and in milk is proportional. If we increase the quantity of milk, then we will be consuming increased quantity of fiber. So we have 4 corners of the proportion. Let me create. We have milk, ounces under ounces, and grams under grams. Out of 4 corners, out of 4 quantities, if one is missing, we can always solve for the missing quantity. So again, we have what is given, and we were asked, what about 40 ounces? 5-time increase in liquids gives you 5 times more the fiber. And that makes sense in the real life, right? The more milk you consume, the more nutrients you will receive in your body. Let's take a look at a different type of question. Very similar, just different. What about dietary fiber in 4 ounces of milk? Well, we've seen what was given. We were given that for 8 ounces, right? That was given. 8 ounces provides 2.4 grams of fiber. What about 4 ounces? I hope you notice that we halved the quantity. We times 1/2, right? What we do to the left side of the proportion, we must do to the right? Obviously, it makes common sense that you will be consuming less fiber, less milk, less fiber. And 2.4 times 1/2, or 2.4 divided by 2, gives you 1.2 grams of fiber. So 1.2 grams of fiber. I do want to show you a slightly different setup with X. So let's take a look. Now, step 1, always write down what is given by the problem. And this was given, right? 8 ounces contains 2.4 grams. So we can even write given. Now, what needs to be found? The amount of milk the amount of fiber in 4 ounces. So let's rewrite it, and I'm going to show you another way to look at it. 8 ounces contains 2.4 grams of fiber. 4 ounces contains, here's where we're going to use our algebra skills, beginner's algebra skills, and say X ounces. How do we solve for X? Let me first put it in a box. This is very important. How do we solve for the missing quantity in a proportion? Again, notice that proportion is made up of 4 quantities, 2 ratios tied together. We always list same quantities under each other. So we have ounces of milk under ounces of milk, grams of fiber under grams of fiber. Now, there are multiple ways to look at it. We can say that 8 ounces to 4 ounces is equal to 2.4 divided by X. That's one way of looking at it. How do we solve for X? Notice we're dealing with equivalent fractions, right? 8 over 4 is 2. Now think about it. 2.4 divided by what gives you 2? We must divide by 2 on both sides. X equals to 1.2, right? Take a look at one more way to look at proportions or solve proportions. So this was one way, right? I would say method 1. Not that it's any different, it's just 2 different points of view. Another way to look at it is you can invert it, right? You can say 4 ounces of milk to 8 ounces has to be proportional, right, as X to 2.4. Notice how X moved to the top, which is fine as long as we stay consistent. 4 to 8 should be the same as X to 2.4. Again, we have equivalent fractions, right? 4 to 8 is 1 to 2. 1/2 is which number divided by 2.4 gives you a half? Or what is a half of 2.4? And the answer is X equals 1.2. That's another way of solving a proportion. It's not that different, but sometimes students set it up top to bottom, bottom to top. It doesn't matter as long as you stay consistent. I hope you found this helpful.